Today our topic is the art of accepting death, Stoic wisdom. Death is something everyone must face, but few of us truly think about it or prepare for it. The Stoics, ancient philosophers, believed that accepting death is one of the most important skills we can learn. They taught that by understanding and embracing the reality of death, we can live better, freer, and more meaningful lives. At first, this might sound strange or even scary. Why focus on something so dark? But the Stoics were not trying to make us sad or fearful. Instead, they wanted to free us from the fear of death so we could live more fully. Let's explore how their wisdom can help us today. First, let's talk about why death is so hard to accept. For many of us, death feels like the ultimate loss. It means the end of our plans, our relationships, and our experiences. It's something we cannot control, and that lack of control can make us feel powerless. We spend so much of our lives trying to avoid thinking about death, distracting ourselves with work, entertainment, or other activities. But the Stoics believed that avoiding the topic of death only makes it more frightening. Instead, they encouraged people to confront death directly, to think about it often, and to see it as a natural part of life. By doing this, they believed we could reduce our fear and live with greater peace. The Stoics taught that death is not something to fear because it is simply a part of nature. Just as a leaf falls from a tree in autumn, or a wave returns to the ocean, all things that are born must one day die. This is the natural order of the world. The Stoics believed that by accepting this truth we can stop fighting against reality and instead focus on what we can control: our own thoughts, actions, and attitudes. When we stop fearing death, we stop wasting energy on things we cannot change. This allows us to live more intentionally and appreciate the time we have. One of the most famous Stoic philosophers, Marcus Aurelius, wrote extensively about death in his personal journal, which we now call Ye Meditations. He reminded himself daily that death is inevitable and that it could come at any moment. This might sound grim, but for Marcus Aurelius, it was a source of motivation. Knowing that life is short and fragile pushed him to live with purpose and virtue. He wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." In other words, because death is always possible, we should strive to live well in every moment. This is not about being perfect or achieving great things, but about being kind, honest, and true to ourselves. Another Stoic philosopher, Epictetus, taught that fearing death is a waste of time because it is not under our control. He said, "Death is nothing terrible, but the fear of death is terrible." When we spend our lives worrying about something we cannot avoid, we give away our peace of mind. Epictetus believed that by accepting death, we can focus on what truly matters: how we live our lives. He encouraged his students to think about death not as an enemy, but as a reminder to live with courage and integrity. He said, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." The Stoics also believed that accepting death helps us appreciate life more deeply. When we realize that our time is limited, we become more mindful of how we spend it. We stop taking things for granted and start valuing the people and experiences that bring us joy. Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." He argued that life is long enough if we use it wisely. By remembering that death is always near, we can stop procrastinating and start living with intention. We can focus on what truly matters to us, whether that is spending time with loved ones, pursuing our passions, or helping others. Accepting death also helps us let go of things that don't matter. Many of us spend our lives chasing money, status, or material possessions, thinking these things will make us happy. But the Stoics believe that these external things are ultimately meaningless because they can be taken away at any moment. Death is the great equalizer. No matter how rich, powerful, or famous we are, we all face the same end. By accepting this, we can stop worrying about things we cannot control and focus on what truly lasts: our character, our values, and the impact we have on others. The Stoics also taught that accepting death can help us face challenges with courage. Life is full of difficulties, from illness and loss to failure and disappointment. But when we remember that death is the ultimate challenge, other problems seem smaller in comparison. This is not to say that our struggles are not important, but rather that we can face them with greater strength when we keep the bigger picture in mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." By remembering that life is a gift, we can find the courage to face whatever comes our way. Some people might say that thinking about death is depressing, but the Stoics believed the opposite. They thought that by accepting death, we can find freedom and joy. When we stop fearing death, we stop being controlled by it. We can live more authentically without worrying about what others think or trying to impress anyone. We can focus on what truly matters to us and live in alignment with our values. Seneca wrote, "The wise man is neither raised up by prosperity nor cast down by adversity, for he has always endeavored to rely chiefly upon himself and to derive all joy from himself." By accepting death, we can find inner strength and peace, no matter what happens in our lives. So how can we apply Stoic wisdom about death to our own lives? First, we can practice thinking about death regularly. This doesn't mean dwelling on it in a morbid way, but simply reminding ourselves that life is short and precious. We can ask ourselves, if this were my last day, how would I want to spend it? This can help us prioritize what truly matters and let go of things that don't. Second, we can focus on what we can control. Death is inevitable, but how we live our lives is up to us. We can choose to live with kindness, courage, and integrity, no matter what challenges we face. Finally, we can practice gratitude. By appreciating the people and experiences we have in our lives, we can find joy and meaning in every moment. The Stoics believe that accepting death is not about giving up or living in fear, but about embracing life fully. By understanding that our time is limited, we can stop wasting it on things that don't matter and focus on what truly does. We can live with courage, gratitude, and purpose, knowing that we have done our best with the time we were given. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Pass through this brief patch of time in harmony with nature, and come to your final resting place gracefully, just as a ripened olive might fall, praising the earth that nourished it, and grateful to the tree that gave it growth." By accepting death, we can learn to live with grace, wisdom, and peace. This is the art of accepting death hand. It is one of the greatest gifts the Stoics have given us.